believe. Kama tu good afternoon, members. My name is Christine Kungu, Board Secretary, FIDA Kenya. We are very happy. This is the first time the FIDA Kenya Board is hosting the first members webinar. We are starting a series of webinars specifically tailored for our members. The topic for today's webinar is navigating the new normal as a female lawyer in Kenya. I now wish to hand over to our moderator for today's session, Dr. Mercy Deche. Dr. Mercy Deche is the Vice Chairperson at the Judicial Service Commission. She's also one of our senior members at FIDA Kenya and has equally served in the board 10 years ago. Dr. Deche, I hand over to you. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Christine, and I greet you all from Mombasa. Greetings from Mombasa. I am glad that you have been able to join us for this webinar. As for those of us who know the core business of FIDA, it is the promotion of women's individual and collective power to claim their rights in all spheres of life. And FIDA always operates within the context of what is happening in the external environment. And as we all know, the external environment is dominated by COVID-19 with all its disruptions and demands. And as those of us who work in the legal services, which is a good number of us, I am sure there are other non-FIDA members who are here, and I also welcome you. Legal services have greatly been disrupted, and that is the marketplace of our bread and butter issues. And this has been resulted because of the downscaling of services, not only in the courts, but in all agencies and institutions in the justice sector. And we also have students who are our members, and legal education has also been disrupted, both pupillage and at the Kenya School of Law. And with all this, it has impacted our lives gravely, if I may say so. We have the circumstances where we are working from home. Some of us may be working on half pay, others at no pay. There is still even another category that is not sure whether they still have their jobs or not. And at the same time, responsibilities are still there. And some have even been complicated by the cessation of movement and also by the curfew. But then again, remember, as our gender is always affected differently. But in all this, women are overcomers. We are here because we know that we can overcome. History has told us so. Whether you look at the women in the Bible or the Mekatili Wamenza that we read about in history, or even our Wangari Maathai that we were able to meet, we shall overcome. In fact, we have been told that countries where women, nations led by women have handled COVID better. So at the end of this discussion, I am positive that we will be able to be encouraged to see that silver lining in this dark cloud. We shall also be able to see how the butterfly stage will be from this pupa stage. So without further ado, let me say that we have 4 eminent panelists to take us through the discussion today. And the first one is Justice Jackie Kamau. Jackie Kamau is currently a judge of the High Court of Kenya, and she's based at the Milimani Commercial Courts. She's also the president, so we have a president in our midst, president of the Kenya Judges and Magistrates Association. She's also a mother. She has previously held many other hats, such as chairing the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators of Kenya. She was also the pioneer presiding judge of the Voi High Court, among many other firsts. Without her permission, let me also disclose that we were trained by the same German nuns. We were in the same high school together, and she was also my classmate at the law school. So Jackie will be taking us through finding balance within the pandemic. Welcome, Jackie. The second panelist is Anna Konuche. Anna Konuche is a senior advocate in her own right. She is the assistant director in charge of the advocates training program at the Kenya School of Law. And she has also previously taught many students at the Moi University. So I call her Prof, and she understands why. And many advocates have passed through the hands of Anna, and therefore she has the advantage of having a bird's eye view when it comes to evaluating and assessing the impact of COVID on female lawyers across the board, across all ages. Anna will therefore take us through coping with the new norm as a female lawyer. And Anna, we are glad to have you. Welcome, Anna. The third panelist is my senior, Dorcas Kita. Dorcas has served in the FIDA Council for many years, both as a council member and our past keeper. She has served as a treasurer, of course, and the whole concept of Friends of FIDA was Dorcas's brainchild. That is her child that she has nurtured so well. She's also the chair of the Advocates Benevolence Fund. Dorcas has a heart for the vulnerable and she's greatly involved in charity. She's a mentor to many, including myself. And I am glad to have you here, Dorcas. She'll be taking us through achieving financial independence amidst COVID. So welcome, Dorcas. And then last but not least, to cap it all, we have Sarah Richson. And this is a lady that I have heard so much about, and I'm glad to finally meet her virtually. I know I will meet her after all this. And she's a thought leader and an influencer. And she's a renowned speaker, not only in Kenya, but globally. She has a lot of knowledge on 21st century workplace trends. And she will talk to us about managing self and relationships within the pandemic. Welcome, Sarah. So we will start off with our judge, Judge Jackie, and on to the other panelists until the fourth one. Each will have 10 minutes. At the end of the 4 panel discussions, members will be at liberty to ask questions, either by indicating by a show of hands. You are also free to post your questions on the chat throughout the discussion. So let us hear Judge Jackie discussing with us about finding the balance within the pandemic. And Jackie, as you tell us about finding the balance, kindly mention to us what kind of a lawyer you imagine or you look forward to engaging with from the bench going forward, because life, we have been told, will never be the same again. So welcome, Jackie. Jackie, we can't hear you. Yes?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, proceed.
All right. So I was saying, thank you very much, Commissioner Deche. Indeed, you are my college mate at the Kenya School of Law, and I really appreciate and we celebrate you also for the achievements that you have done and you have been able to achieve. So first of all, let me say thank you very much, FIDA Kenya, led by your chair, Nancy Ikinu. I can see the representation of the board secretary, Council Christine Nkungu, and ED Anne Ireri for having found it fit to invite me to share my thoughts on this very important topic. But before I proceed, we must be able to acknowledge at the very beginning that no one is an expert in speaking to this topic of navigating the new normal as a female lawyer in Kenya during the pandemic times. Indeed, we must appreciate that this is the first time that something of a disruption of this magnitude has ever happened in our lives. We have quite a number of disruptions, the different challenges. There are times maybe when you have family problems, you have financial problems, those are challenges. But if I was to profess and say that I can be able to give you the answers to all these, I do not think I'll be saying the truth. So mine was just merely to share some of the thoughts and reflections of what I think we can be doing at this particular time. And to remember the Charles Darwin theory that it is survival for the fittest. And many times, even when we are faced by challenges, if you remain too much on the ground and you do not pick up yourself, dust yourself and pick up, then you're definitely going to be very depressed. You are not going to be able to make it. So most of the times when things like this happen, my opinion would be that it is best that we accept what has happened and then pick it up from there. Because if you're in denial, then you're likely to have psychological problems. And I know maybe there's somebody else who might be able to speak to this issue of psychological problems if you do not accept all this. So therefore, I find the topic to be very timely in the sense that it will now assist us in knowing how do we go from here. It's only not only the female lawyers who are having this problem, basically even the female judges, I believe, also could be having the same challenges, some of them which I'm going to come up and just maybe share. So one of the things that I said was that a female lawyer is a daughter, she's a sister, she's a mother, she's a mother-in-law. She has so many roles, and everyone is trying to get a piece of her. So even in normal times, she's expected to multitask. So it becomes a bit of a challenge, and she's expected to be a superhuman. Now, when you look at female lawyers, especially in Africa, we'll even have more responsibilities because the family is not necessarily only her immediate family, but you also have the extended family, and within which position now she'll be required to play her role as a sister, mother, mother-in-law, cousin, or whatever it is. So therefore, we expect that for the persons who are unmarried in Africa, maybe their roles are, there are quite a number of roles that they have, but they're not as many as the person who is married. And this is mainly in Africa, because now I'm contextualizing it in Africa because of the roles that they have. Now, while working from home then, a lawyer, a female lawyer, will therefore be expected to meet all her husband's or partner's needs. I can tell you that for me, I'm not married, so I know I do not have to cook tea for anybody in the house. But for the ones who are married, you can imagine now you are probably doing your opinion, you have to do your submissions, and you're still expected to go and make that tea, you're expected to go and prepare the dinner, in as much as there's a house manager in the house. But the African setting will probably assume that you as a wife will need to take a greater role in ensuring that your husband is well taken care of. So if she's a breadwinner, she'll be expected to come up with a bacon home. And if she does not, then you find that the chances of having violence are extremely high. She'll also be expected to nurture her children, especially when they're unwell. And the husband will be saying, in as much as everybody's working at home, you as a female lawyer, you'll be expected to leave whatever you're doing, to go out there and ensure that your child is feeling well, you're supervising the homework, and you're still expected to bring money to the house. So these are challenges that you will definitely get. And also to give instructions to the house manager. If you are not even the one who is doing this work, you'll still be expected to give these instructions. Now, these disruptions will automatically interfere with the discharge of your duties. But luckily, we have been created in such a way that we are able to multitask. We are very versatile. And even in the Bible, I know God has created us to be able to do more than one thing at the same time. We are able to coordinate and do quite a number of things. Now, in multitasking, then the lawyer will also face obstacles in sourcing for business, because some of the issues also she's not expected to do is also behave like a man. You're expected to be on the same lane as a man, but you're still expected not to do certain things as the way the men will do. One of them perhaps maybe is the networking. We know now the bars, all the social places have probably been opened and between 11 and 4. Now, you as a female lawyer, even if you're going to multitask, you're going to network with those people, questions will be asked. Why are you going in this kind of places? Yet the men are expected to go to this kind of places and they're able to get their business. So there's profiling, which is negative about women, yet we're expected to excel as the men are excelling. So ways of coping, the way I thought, and because I know I do not have a lot of time, but what I just conceptualized and said, that we must be able to learn how to multitask. First, we must accept the situation as it is. It is a very difficult situation for everybody. Like Commissioner Deche said, some people have got income, some people do not know whether they're going to go back to the office, some people are on half income, and yet you're expected to still cater most of the roles that you're doing. And we know, again, also, even sometimes when people are married or they have partners, they still end up having to cater for most of the responsibilities, financial responsibilities in the house. And I believe Dorcas Kita will probably tell us about how to achieve this financial independence. I would also suggest that it is important in this kind of scenario to learn how to delegate. You're not a superhuman. You can be able to say that you can still excel to be a good manager by delegation. And even in the office, you can still be able to delegate. Learn to prioritize on your tasks. Learn to break down these tasks. If they're too big, then you do not need to do everything at a go, because then at the end of the day, you end up becoming very overwhelmed. So again, the other thing is that you need to be very disciplined working from the house. Some of the majority of Kenyans have not been used to working in the house. Like I'll tell you, my productivity even from before has always been working from the house. I'm able to churn more decisions and more judgments when I'm working from the house. So if you are not used to this, it's something that you need to understand so that you're not rushing from here to the sitting room, from there to the kitchen to give all the instructions. Let your family members understand that you're also working. And if they're able to give you space between 8 to 5 or whatever time, or 8 to 3 or whatever time people are working, then I think it will be a good thing. So learn how to encourage compromises like mediation or out-of-court settlements, which do not really require a lot of follow-up or even legal, reading very, very hard. If you're able to get some of these settlements, I think it would be a good thing. Again, I would say learn how to schedule me time, learn how to schedule time for exercise, learn how to take a break because you're not superhuman. I think it's important to also learn how to say no. We all never manage to say no as Africa, especially in the African context, that anything that you're told, you always have to say yes. But it's important that you must learn how to say no. And the other thing is also, I would also suggest that it's important for us to have a second income in whatever you do, whether it is that gardening that you're doing there and you can be able to sell a few vegetables. I think that is also something important. I believe that your physical and mental well-being is very critical during this particular time to be able to navigate. You not only have to be strong for yourself, you have to be strong for your children, you have to be strong for your husband or partner, you have to be strong for your general family because you're also a daughter born of a father and a mother. So for me, those are the thoughts I'd like to share because I can see like my 10 minutes are over. I think I've gone to 11 minutes. So I think let me stop there so that maybe we can interact more in the discussions. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Judge Jackie, for those thoughts about survival for the fittest. And Elizabeth is commenting that there is no organism that is fittest to survive out there. It is that the organism that is fit to survive is that organism that adapts better to changes. That is the fittest organism to survive in the game of survival. Thank you so much, Jackie, for those thoughts and for bringing out the relational nature of us as women. Let us then hear from, and you can keep your questions coming in the chat. Let's hear from Konuche, Anna Konuche. And Anna Konuche will be talking to us about coping with the new norm as a female lawyer. And when you were telling us that, Anna, because you are a trainer, you train lawyers, could you tell us something about where do you see us maybe next year, like now, as female lawyers? Of course, that is calling upon some prophetic instinct, but I'm sure you are able to project where you see us from now. And then, since you are a trainer, have you noticed any gaps that are there in our legal training, both at entry point and even the continuous legal training, where we can say maybe we should also be prepared for what we have learned that we were never prepared for? So over to you, Anna.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I am very happy to be in this session, and I feel honored that FIDA invited me to participate and give my views on, or my thoughts on navigating the new normal as a female lawyer. And I just wish to echo my senior judges' comments that there is no expert in this field. We are learning as we are going. Every day is a learning process. That is what I have realized. And that calls on me and everybody else to have an open mind. We are not going to stop learning. We are still going to keep learning up and until maybe this is over. And even when it is over, we will still continue learning. Well, I'm a teacher, so I'm more geared towards learning. So my topic today is just coping mechanisms in this pandemic. And it's from a personal perspective and also from discussions I have held with people, and especially those I interact with. And from there, I'm able to gauge and see how to cope and how I have so far coped with this pandemic. Now, when we are born and up to the point we finish school, we are used to a routine. We have some sort of timetable. It may not be a fixed timetable, but there's something predictable we look up to every day. When you join school, you wake up, you wake up at 6. You have to be in school by 8, and when you get to school, there is a timetable, there is a break for tea, there is a break for lunch, there is sports, and then there is getting home. Then you get home and the usuals, maybe showering, homework, and all the way to bedtime. So that is a routine that we are used to. It's a routine we've grown up with. And once we get to adulthood, that routine is replaced now with the working environment. And one thing I realized for myself is when this pandemic happened, as a school, we had to close down because the president gave a directive that all learning institutions need to close down. So what I realized, the first thing was my life was so built around a working environment that now when you're thrown in and you're told now there's no waking up to go to work, you have to find something to do. You have to find a way to cope with the seemingly free time, but it's free time but full of anxiety because you don't know what is going to happen next. So how then do we deal with that? Because with that, you have that routine of working. You know that you're working this number of months in the year with punctuation of weekends, holidays, planned holidays, vacations. But all in all, it's fairly predictable. So you can actually plan your diary and say, next week I'll be doing this, the other week I'll be doing that. So then the pandemic happened, and what it seemed like was a rug was pulled under our feet. And when that happens, you sort of lose your balance. Some people found their balance pretty fast. Others are still trying to find their balance. Some find balance and then lose it immediately. You don't know exactly what to do with what happens to that. And of course, this came also with certain feelings. Talking to people, you'll find others feeling moody, coming from helplessness. You're in a situation where you have totally no control. We are lawyers. We like to have control over every situation. You want to be on top of things. So now you're just relying on updates and the government to tell you what to do, and you don't know the direction life is taking. So there's that feeling of helplessness. What do I do from here? How do I move on from here? How do I handle the situation? That is one of the feelings I myself experience, that I'm feeling helpless. I cannot help the situation. I cannot help myself. I cannot help anyone. So how do I go from here? Other people would feel anger. You're angry at life. What is this? What has it thrown at us? I can no longer earn a living. I can no longer meet my friends. I can no longer go to church. So there's that anger towards life or towards the situation, which you feel, well, how do I handle this? So there are those feelings that come with, that came actually when this happened. Anxiety, there's a feeling of helplessness I've talked about, not being in charge, moodiness, and all that. So how do we cope with this? This is what now my discussion is going to be. And of course, we are open to chip in. I have a few tips on how I have learned to cope and how others have learned to cope with these feelings, with this situation, which we have no control over. So the discussion is centered on the four the total self, the human as an individual, we believe that there are 4 aspects of the individual. There is the physical, there is the mental. I think Judge has alluded to the mental. There is the intellect, because you're a profession. So obviously there is the intellect that you need to take care of. And then for many, there is the spiritual, because we believe in a higher being who created us. So I would like to go through each of those and find useful tips on how to cope in each and every one of them, so that you maintain a healthy self and a balanced being as a woman, a balanced being. As women, we have more feelings and we tend to express them. Huh? So starting with the physical, I looked at the physical from the point of view of exercise. The importance of exercise cannot be overemphasized. First of all, it reduces stress, because it releases hormones that deal with stress. So the other thing is, of course, with the declaration of the pandemic, the slowdown of everything, we tend to be more sedentary in our lifestyles. We are not very active. So, well, weight piles up. If you're by age and above, very well metabolic rate has come down. So it's not easy to burn that food that you're eating. So physical exercise is very important. And it doesn't have to be anything, out of this world. There are so many things online. We are now tech savvy. I know my students also are very tech savvy. There are so many exercises online. If you go to YouTube, you will have programs and plans of doing exercise, going about cardio or yoga, if you're the type to meditate. That is one way. For me, I like to walk. I do a 45 minutes walk every day. First, it allows me to have an opportunity just to be by myself, to get out of the house and be by myself, to breathe in also. And it's a good exercise. So I enjoy walking. So you can find whatever you like. That way, you make time each and every day for exercise, just to get rid of that extra energy that you accumulate because of being sedentary. The other thing I looked at in terms of physical is the grooming. Now, we all have those Sengenge Ngombe t-shirts. We have those, what do you call them? The socks we put on our heads, the stockings, and we sleep with them. And when you are not going anywhere, you're tempted to just wake up and remain that way, and only in the evening take a shower and change back to a fresh t-shirt and go back to bed. My suggestion is grooming is an aspect of course, good taking care of yourself, but also it gives you some confidence and some purpose. When you wake up and you take a shower and put some moisturizer on your face, you may not need to do all the makeup and everything, but it gives you a lift in the mood, because you feel like you have a purpose and something to live for. So those are the 2 aspects in terms of the physical, how you can take care of yourself. Then, of course, there's the mental. Judge has talked about having good mental health. Mental health cannot also be emphasized, that you should be able to function normally as an individual, not lose your mind, not slip into depression, and take care of that. As women, we tend to be very social. We tend to get this help from interacting. We talk a lot, and that's how we get rid of maybe pent-up anger, pent-up emotions. We talk a lot. So my suggestions in terms of taking care of your mental health, for myself, what I do is when I wake up in the morning, I ask myself, how do I feel today? Being aware of what you feel that very moment or that day, acknowledging your feelings as early as in the morning. There are days, of course, you wake up and you're feeling very drab, you're down, you're feeling overwhelmed with emotions. So acknowledge what you feel and then ask yourself, how can I deal with these emotions that I'm feeling? If I'm feeling happy, wow, that's good. Today I might be able to achieve something because I'm in extremely good moods. But if I'm feeling down, how do I deal with it? As I said, women, we express our feelings, we talk a lot, and the talking helps. So calling up somebody, having a chat, I found that to work. It doesn't have to be, a colleague, somebody even from a distance, just talking, focusing your attention on something else other than yourself has a way of lifting the mood. If you have children, if you cuddle your child for a minute or two, there is no mood lifter like that one. Kids smell sweet, I tell you. So when I hug mine, somehow you start to think it's not about me. There are other people I also need to think about. So you could cuddle your children, you could cuddle somebody, at least somebody you live with. With COVID, don't go cuddling strangers out in the streets. The other thing that we could do is to journal. Writing down our feelings is also a good way because you transfer that energy and that feeling into a book. It's good, and then you come back and read later. You could express those emotions by crying. There's no harm in crying. It's a let-up of pent-up emotions. You could go for a walk. You could listen to music. You could keep busy, basically. I see a lot of people learn to cook meals and all that. You could do spring cleaning, get rid of all the, those things that are in the closet that you no longer use, get rid of them. Learn a new skills, and then also maintain a near normal day as possible. That means waking up at predictable times and going to bed at predictable times. We have the tendency to, when we have free time, to probably oversleep, until midday. When you wake up at midday, you're already too lazy. You're eating late, and then it's affecting, of course, your diet, and then also it is it's affecting your ability to perform for the rest of the day. So you're likely to procrastinate. So maintain as nearly a normal day as possible. Then, if possible, coordinate some activity. If you're in a group, WhatsApp group, whatever, coordinate some activity, volunteer, if it is collection of money for a certain welfare or something, take up the job. It keeps you busy, it keeps you going, and it gives you a sense of purpose. In terms of the intellect, I said as an individual, as a professional.
Yes, as we wind up, Prof.
Yes, I'm winding up. As a professional, you need to take care of your intellect. And how do you do that? It is important to of course, to take care of your intellect because you need it once it's back. You need to make a living. That's how you make a living as a lawyer. So read anything you can. Join a reading club. There are so many WhatsApp reading clubs. Join one. Those court decisions you've always kept away thinking, I'll read them later. Probably there is a file either in your phone or a physical file. Go back and read them. It's a good time to study. Read journals. There are so many research people are doing every day. Write or blog. You can do that. That research you've always wanted to do, this is the opportune time to do it. And then finally, of course, the spiritual. For those who believe in God, join Sunday, just make Sunday the normal Sunday. Join the online church service. If you have some little money, tithe, make it as normal as possible. Pray. Prayer is a good thing. For me, it helps me release a lot of things that I worry about. Read to your children Bible stories. Also read to yourself the Bible and meditate when you can. And as a parting shot, I would say don't be too hard on yourself. We are learning. We are growing every day. So don't beat yourself up. If you wake up and you're feeling drab, don't beat yourself up. Just find a way of getting out of that situation. And then use technology as much as possible. The internet is a whole library of so many things. So you can access anything and everything you wish. You can keep records or online, books you've read, all those things. So those are my tips that I would suggest. And we are open, of course, to receive more from those who've joined us online. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Anna, for those very personalized tips that you have given. By the way, your students are very specific on what they want to hear. They want to know when the bar exams are going to be. And those are the questions they are posting. They are also asking about the class of 2020. Some very specific concerns, and I feel, and I really feel them. So, and of course, I still look forward to hearing from you on what has our legal training, did it prepare us to face such challenges should we rethink the training and even the CPD, especially with the issues around technology and handling this level of stresses? But thank you very much. We will move over to our senior Dorcas Kita, and Dorcas will go to where we have been hit most, the finances. And the vulnerability has our vulnerability has been most exposed in that area. We have been told that most lawyers, both male, female, are not very good at saving. I fall in that category, I must confess. But Dorcas is going to tell us about achieving financial independence amidst COVID. And you'll also tell us whether maybe it's too late. If we had never tried to achieve independence, should we just give up and watch as things unfold? Welcome, Dorcas.
Thank you very much. I am very happy to be here. Thank you, FIDA, for the invitation. As has been said before, I will not profess to have the answers, but I will give whatever it is that I can be able to give in regard to my experience so far as the pandemic is concerned. When I was asked to speak about this, the first thing that came to my mind was the book A Tale of Two Cities. I don't know how many of you have read that. This is by Charles Dickens. He starts that it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. Keep that in mind as we go through what we're going to talk about in regard to achieving financial independence amidst the panic at the moment. When I got this topic, it was like a continuation, because throughout since the pandemic started, I have been interacting with quite a number of practicing lawyers. As they share what they're going through, sometimes it's through a phone, we'll talk maybe for an hour, we'll talk for 20, 30 minutes, as they're just indicating what they're going through. One said they felt like they had got to a tunnel at the end of the light. Another one said they are, for the first time, after about 3 weeks into the pandemic, they felt like they were now seeing light. Why the two reactions from the two people who are all practicing lawyers? One had identified opportunities. What can she be able to do at this particular moment that has nothing to do with practice, but can get her income? The lady, what she has done is set up a shop that deals with food and groceries and meat. Because one of the things that we must all remember is that whatever happens, we will not stop eating. We are being told time and again, let us eat fruits. Somebody has to supply those fruits. She got into that and she's making money. There are opportunities that are there. But you must know, first and foremost, you must know your money personality. What is your money personality? Because we always tell ourselves, know yourself. But how do you know yourself vis-a-vis money, vis-a-vis spending? Are you a Mother Teresa? I call myself a Mother Teresa because if I have money and you don't have and you ask me, I'll probably give you even everything and be left with nothing. But that is me. And right now I'm suffering for that. Or somebody else is not a Mother Teresa. Somebody else saves and will probably not go to that saving to help you go through whatever it is you're going through. People are being chased out of houses because they have not paid rent. We have accumulated rent in way of offices, because one of the things that we must admit as lawyers that even before the pandemic, many of us were not doing well. I think that is one thing that we're not facing, because we have lost a lot of work along the way. There are those who are doing very well, but there are people who are not doing well in regard to practice. When we acknowledge that, then now we can sit down as a profession and try to see now, how can we make sure that as lawyers, we are at the center of things, that when something like this happens, we are not the first people who start crying that we do not have money. We cannot pay our rent. We cannot meet our medical bills. We cannot do ABCD. And I'm saying that knowing very well I'm in that group. What can we be able to do? What conversation do we need as a profession to be able to see? Because the opportunities are there, and it is being able to identify them. So as I said, you must know your money personality, because that is very important. Knowing yourself is very, very good, because then you know how you are able to spend whatever it is you have. When the pandemic started, did you have enough money? Had you budgeted? Did you have that 6 months money that would see you through 6 months without any problem, or through a year? There are those I talked to and they say they are covered until August. There are those who told me by January, they're expecting that things will pick up come April, May. Right now, they haven't picked up. We are at the worst of times. They don't know what to do. They've laid off their people. And of course, that is also having an effect on them, because these are people you work with. And now you're telling them, I cannot be able to pay you, so I cannot hold you in the office. I have to let you go. And letting you go to where? That's a question that we ask ourselves. Financial independence, what is it? It is that I went to Wikipedia, and it tells me that it is that status of having enough income to pay one's living expenses for the rest of one's life without having to work. As I sit here at my age and I ask myself right now, do I have enough income that would see me up to, if I live to be 100? I'd be lying if I said, yes, I have enough income to see me until I'm 100 years of age. But what can one do to make sure they have that? If you're looking at investments, if you have a bit of money, this is the best time to invest in the stock market. The shares are going for a song. If you have the money, put it in the stock market, and you will be laughing all the way to the bank in another 3-4 years' time. If you have money, real estate right now, houses that were going, I'm just picking up a place randomly, in South Sea, a house that would go for about 25 million shillings, you can be able to get it for about 20 million shillings, 18 million shillings. If you have the money, this is the time to invest in that. How else do you invest other than the business? There are those who have money. You and I may not have money, but there are those who have money. This morning, there's a lawyer who was going over to Mount Kenya, specifically Laikipia region, because she is involved in interior decoration. She has her farm, but she does interior decoration. Her clients, because now there are no clients coming in for holiday and what, those family holidays and what, the ones that stay in that region, want their places refurbished. When we are saying it's the worst of times, for her, it is the best of times. So one thing you ask yourself is, what have I, other than my legal practice, what do I have that brings me money? What do I do to get money? What other business do I have? There are many lawyers who have boutiques. There are many lawyers who have gyms. Right now, gyms are not functional, but they are using the instructors in those gyms to do business, and they share whatever the profits are. Because many people, even when you talk about starting an exercise regime, you probably do not know exactly what to do, because before, you are getting your exercise from going to the office, from doing whatever it is that you're doing. But now you're not able to do that because of the curfew and everything else. There are now people who, if you go to Karura in the morning, you will find somebody walking with a professional, because walking is not just putting one leg after another, because we do that a lot of times. Say, I want to start walking, and hit Karura, and within 6 months, your shins are aching. Your knees are no longer whatever. Your hips are giving you problems. There are those who walk with you and tell you, this is how you walk, and you learn from there, and they're not doing it for free. They are charging for that. There are those online lessons. About 6 lawyers that I know of are doing those online classes. You have somebody coming in for an hour. You take a group of about 20 people in different places. You Zoom and you do your exercises together. And by the time you leave that, in that 1 hour, you've gotten your 10,000 shillings, something you may not even make sometimes if you're on the lower rank of practice in a day, because you'll get your 10,000 in 1 hour, another 10,000 another hour. You do 3 hours, you have your 30,000 coming in, and it is assisting. As of now, what are you required to do? Because as a lawyer, your clientele matters. Your clients matter. We are going to be in a time, even as we talk about families breaking up, we have lawyer clients relationships that are going to break up because of the pandemic. What are you doing to make sure that you retain those clients that you have, and even use this opportunity to get more clients? People are learning new trades, learning new things online. I'm told of people who are now going through courses in arbitration. They want to be the mother Okiro, I think she's called Okiro. I don't know what the other name is, but she's one of the good people in arbitration. You have Waigwa, who's also a very good person in arbitration, Mangerere, and all those. People are learning that. If you are not an arbitrator, this is the time. If you have a bit of money, you can train to it, because you're looking, your eye is into the future. Your eye is on what are you going to do after this? And the clients you have, how are you going to make sure that after this is over, you still have them? There are lots of regulations coming up. The government is coming up with rules every day. Do your clients know how those rules affect them? If they're in business, how is that? If your client is in the tea business, how are the regulations that were put in place in May going to affect them? Have you done a write-up and in whatever, advise them on that? I find that earns me a bit of money, because when I do the write-up, I'll charge whatever it is. I'll agree with the client and I'll get my little check for whatever amount of money we've agreed, because I've told you, okay, you're in this tea business, these regulations are coming up, this is how they are going to affect you. And there are those that affect everybody, like the curfew rules and everything. How are they going to affect you? I make sure that my clients are notified of that. Then how am I making sure I'm also getting new clients? You had, when with the corona started, there's a gentleman called Shah who started collecting foods and what from people, and he does a lot of distribution, different households in the informal sectors and what have you. If you're looking for a client and you joined them in one of those, when they're giving out those foods, what makes you think that you're not going to meet that Shah who owns that steel factory in whatever place that he is, to be able to now establish a relationship? Because now we are saying, oh, the clubs are closed, I can't go where, I can't do this, we can't meet, whatever. Now everything is looking so bleak. But what opportunities are you looking at to market yourself? Because right now we need to market ourselves. Even as we are staying at home or whatever it is we are doing, how are you making sure that you're marketing yourself? That is one way to market yourself in whatever it is you're doing. People have revamped their LinkedIn pages, whatever it is. I'm old school, so it will probably take me another 6 months before I get back to whatever anything. But I've noticed when I've gone there, I've noticed people have polished whatever it is they have there. Then you have a lot of people on Twitter now. I got back into Twitter after so many years just the other day, because the link up is very, very good. The other day I made a comment to someone just celebrating them. And what they did, they looked for me, they inboxed me, and I have an appointment to talk to them. And I am sure that appointment is going to bring me some work. So for me, that is something that I've now assisted myself in, and making sure that I will actually have money going forward. Then I've already mentioned the alternative stream of businesses, the side hustles that you can do to ensure that you have money. And then right now you need to budget. If you're not like me who does a budget at the beginning of the year and whatever, just ensure that now you have a budget on what do I have at hand and how long can this last me? What do I need to get? And like for me is how much have I saved by not coming to the office? How much do I use on petrol every year? If I use Old Faithful, how much do I spend on petrol? It's very, very, very little. If I use Beauty, how much do I use on petrol? I'm not using them anymore. Can that money now be channeled elsewhere? And on what we eat at home, are there some things that we can cut on just to make sure that everything is okay? Then we have what we call the black tax, the relatives that we stay with and people that we must accommodate and everything else, is how many of this can you be able to accommodate without draining yourself completely? Because you have to learn to be able to say no. And the other thing is just what new trade can you learn? There are people who've discovered that they can knit very well. There's one of the lawyers who was saying for her, she's now set up for the rest of the year, birthday presents and what, she has knitted scarves, she has knitted mittens, she has knitted what, she's going to save money by not buying presents because now she'll be able to give that as a whatever. That is a saving in itself. I've talked about increased online presence.
You're on the 13th minute.
13th minute, oh my God.
Yes, yes.
So I will just, what I will just indicate is just make sure that you always have emergency funds to be able to do what you need to do. And where things are very bad, do not hesitate to reach out to the people in the profession, to your family. People are moving back home. People are giving up their residential places to share. We have some lawyers who are now sharing flats instead of staying in 2 different flats. Just see how you can save whatever it is that you can be able to save. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dorcas, for that very rich and insightful sharing that you have shared with us. And the book you have mentioned, Enrica has shared the link on the charts.
Oh,
and I'm sure that people can read it about the tale of 2 cities. And maybe during question time, you can also now tell us about, there are those, we are at different categories. There are those who have really, who have worked longer, but there are those who are just beginning and then COVID happened. So even investment is not an option. So we are talking survival here. How do we survive around that? I also like it that people are saying no to black tax. No, I think women are normally not able to say no, but it's a high time that we learned to say no. Let us then, to cap it all, hear from Sarah. And Sarah, we are waiting for you to just enlighten us more about managing self and relationships within the pandemics, because as lawyers, we just talk the best that we know, but we believe that you have that expertise that you can share with us on how to manage ourselves and our relationships. Over to you, Sarah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Ree. My name is Sarah Richson. I'm an emotional success coach. I also train and speak on personal branding. And so I'm very excited to be here today and to share with you some tips on looking at how you manage self. And
you could increase your volume, Sarah.
Okay, let me just try that. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's much better. Okay, excellent. So as I was saying, my name is Sarah Richson, and I'm very happy to be here today. I'm an emotional success coach, and I also teach and train on the subject of emotional intelligence and personal branding. Today, I'm very excited to just be invited here to share with you a few tips on how do we manage self and manage others and relationships. Now, to start off, I am an entrepreneur. My background is in business. I run for businesses. I teach, I train, and I go around the world. If I wasn't here during COVID, I would be all over the place. And in my last employed role, actually, I was a global director going into 12 to 26 different countries. And so what does that mean and why am I telling you that? It's just to show then how do you juggle that, keep a relationship, because I am married, happily married to one man, and I have 6 children. And so to be able to manage those relationships, but also your clients, and also live life and do you and keep you, it's very important that you start managing and looking at how do you survive, how do you thrive. So during a challenge like this, during a pandemic, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, for me to survive, how do I respond to this situation? And I think all the speakers have very capably told us many things and many tips on how we can do this, whether it's financial, whether it's mental, physical. But then also, how do you thrive? How do we grow in this situation? I know growth is actually a different conversation to start having when people are thinking, how do I survive? And we are talking about growing. I always say, and even when we teach on balance, I say that it is when you're off balance that you actually have an opportunity to grow. So I think all of us need to sit down and say, for the fact that I've caught myself off balance, how do I then grow out of this situation? For me, again, 13 years ago, I remember being let go out of a job. And that is when I said, you know what, even if I'll ever get a job in the future, I will have to make sure that I have multiple streams of income so I never feel this way, especially when you have many children waiting for you at home, school fees, debts, name it. And so you need to think about 3 ways you can thrive and grow in this situation. This is a self-care. Then the next one is, how do you adopt and how do you adjust? And finally, how do you recover and bounce back for those who've been hit really, really bad? And sometimes we find ourselves in a fog. And in coaching, we say fog is where you find that your mind is just muddled up and there's too much going on. You can't really take apart something. So sit back, take some time to reflect and to think and to unpack with clear clarity. How can I use my skin? Now, what does Sarah mean by her skin? Skin is S-K-E-E-N-M. So maybe I can just take you very quickly through that. And you can start thinking, how do I optimize this skin? All of us have a skin, and it's something, a framework that I came up with when I was doing my MBA, and to look at how people can actually recover, bounce back, adapt, and thrive in such a situation. S stands for skills. And many of the speakers have spoken about skills, so I don't want to go into it. For me, I'll give you an example. I'm a master baker. There was a time when I was having these children, I was in London for 20 years. That's where I lived. And each time I was given 1 year maternity leave. What did I do with my 1 year? I had to optimize or traject my skin. So I looked at the skills that I have. I have typing skills, I have baking skills. So tomorrow, if things go bad and I can't coach, I can't train anymore, I will go and open a bakery. So skills are very key. Your skills to talk, to engage, to articulate, to help in the community. These really help with people starting to relate with you and understanding how they can actually build balance with you. K stands for your knowledge, and I'm sitting among learned friends. So obviously you can look at your knowledge and maybe look at how do you expand. Right now, I am doing an online free course on Harvard on contracts. It's very important because a lot of my clients are business people and they come and ask me generally around contracts. I also face contracts all the time because I'm a businesswoman myself. So I said, you know what, to save money, another way to add money to your pocket is to save. Let me go and actually learn this thing. So again, adding to your knowledge gives you credibility. The first E is for experience. What are your experiences? And I'm not talking about just work experience. Your experience maybe in serving your church, your experience in sitting on a board, your experience in doing whatever it is that you do. This is the time you go and ask, how do I optimize those? The next E is exposure. What have I been exposed to? Maybe to technology industry, understand how it's moving. Maybe I should get in there and become a forte in terms of my legal work in that space, or what is growing during this time, the healthcare space. I'm talking even as a speaker, I've been invited by the Kenya Healthcare Federation. And the first time I asked them, what do you do? But then I had to start figuring out what they do in order for me to advise doctors and talk to them about, you know, the emotional aspects of things and coaching them through some of the things that they're going through right now as customer facing in the front line. And so how do you quickly find the areas that you've been exposed to or areas that you can be exposed to in this time as a person? And just looking at that in terms of self-care and taking it to the next level. And then finally, who is my network? N stands for network. Who is within my network? Who can help me? How am I leveraging and using my network? Your network is your net worth. Today I came on board, I was very excited. I was telling the ED, I am going to now expand my network. I'm going to be known and to know somebody else. Dr. Mercy, I'll take you up on it. We have to meet when I come to Mombasa or we catch up after this call. So I take my networks very seriously. It's very, very important that you look at who do I know? And within that network, who is skilled enough to help me? And finally, who is speaking into my life? For the young people listening to me today, please find a mentor. I always say, even a giant sits under the feet of another giant. What about when you're tired? What about when you're feeling out? When you're feeling blacked out, fatigued, when you have moral injury, who are you there to speak to? So those are things that are very key. Many people are telling us, call somebody and talk to somebody. But also the person you call will determine the outcomes. So events will happen to us, but the way we respond to those events are very important. So in my network, I have two categories. My skilled network, people I know I come to. I mean, if I'm opening a salon, I'm not going to start asking my doctor friend what to do about the salon. I'll look for somebody who's done that before. So that is what I mean by leveraging your network, but using them in a skillful way. Now, we are going to feel angry sometimes. And let me tell you, when we are dealing with sadness, emotions, anger, many different negative emotions, many people in the lay space say these are negative emotions, but we in emotional intelligence say there's no negative emotion. Every emotion is useful. Every emotion can be channeled into a certain space. If people were not angry enough about hunger, we would not have wild food programs. If people were not angry enough about violence, we will not have FIDA. If people were not angry enough about something, so it is how we channel, how we become very present to these emotions and how we utilize them. And the emotions are going on for you, for your children, for the people who are depending on you, and how are you working through them? So it's not enough to tell somebody, no, just get out of it, stop feeling bad or whatever. We need to feel bad in order to re-engage ourselves and find our balance. And it will show up in different ways for the 4 personalities that are there. So there are those people who are very task-oriented. And so right now, if they get angry, they just enter into a task. And you find yourself working till midnight, no breaks, no nothing. And those of us who we get angry and we just sit into ourselves, we just go into ourselves and we like talking and saying maybe you catch, yeah? And then there are those who talk and talk and talk. The minute they're angry, everybody will know. If it's your auntie or who they are calling you, they're doing what? So again, sense your personality. Go and do maybe some personality tests and whatever and understand so that you understand how to manage yourself. Because some of these on different ends of the spectrum can be good or bad, depending on how we showcase and utilize our personalities to deal with our emotions. Now, as females, we usually have an emotional impact. And our emotional impact depends on 3 things. The first is how you look. You are a visual aid, whether you like it or not. How you look at people, how you present yourself, how you show up. People can get a sense of a certain emotion. People can pick a certain energy from you. For those of us who appear even on seminars like this, if you're invited, maybe it's an internal team meeting or whatever, how you show up can make the rest of the team feel good or pick up a certain energy. So pay attention to how you look. Pay attention to how you even look at people when you're having a conversation. For us in coaching, it's very important, the eye contact and the way we talk and even the tone. The second emotional impact is what you say. Use your language very carefully, especially when you're interacting with your children, when you're interacting with your friends, when you're interacting with somebody who's going through a tough day. Check the words and watch the words. And finally, how you sound, how we use our tone. And I always say sometimes silence is also effective. We don't have to talk or respond to every single thing all the time. So how do we utilize all these things to have an emotional impact. And yes, discussing financial related stress is a dignified and relevant conversation. I repeat, it's a dignified and relevant conversation right now. If you need help, if you feel like you're going through deep stress because of financials, talk to somebody. All I said, and the caveat is, speak to a skilled person. Don't speak to a warrior person, somebody to just warrior with you and whatever and make you wallow into even deeper problems. But somebody who can give you sound advice, like we've just had on the panel, you have people who can give you really, really good advice. So talk to someone, have that discussion. In your home, you'll need to change a few things. For me, I remember telling the children, look, right now you can't just have as many cereal types as you want. This one wants that cereal, that one wants a different one. I have to buy 6 boxes of, no. If this is the one that we buy and we have, it's a dignified conversation for me to sit down my family and tell them these things. And we have to bring up our children to remember there was a pandemic and things happened. If nothing else, it will strengthen them. So we need to have those conversations. As a person, when you're relating with others and when you're relating with yourself, be a bit creative. Add some spice to your life. When I've been doing these sessions, believe you me, I've done 6 sessions for women and professional women, and men sign up and sit at the front seats. And guess what they say? This is the first time in families we are staying at home for so long with our spouses. Some of us are working from the house, so they see us from morning till evening. When your spouse is seeing, and we know how men are, you have to make sure at least there's some spice. If you've been cooking that sukuma with the same spice all the time, and please change something, just add, so it's very tough times. So how about even the colors? Maybe just add a bit of a pop of color to how you dress or how you do things, how you cook. If you have to go out, if you have to wear even masks and whatever, get something that gives a bit of creativity, a bit of spice to you. I asked one of my coaching clients, what are your best colors? What is your favorite color if you were to build a personal brand for you? And she said, black, white, and gray. Let's go out of our comfort zone. It helps us to just add some fire into our lives. And that is something that is very key. Pay attention to the cultural shifts that are happening in the home. Don't feel shy to ask your husband or your spouse to cook, to help with the children. Out of our many children, I have many daughters. And even before COVID, my husband was one who could take our daughters to the salon. I'm lucky I'm married to a Francophone, and so he's very happy to go and help with that. But ask your partners to help a bit more in the house. And finally, please raise resourceful children. This is the time to relate to them, ask them how they feel and what they want to do. Pay attention to the 2030 skills that are coming through. Stop registering our children and ourselves for things that are going to come down in the next future. And build our emotional intelligence, social intelligence, be creative, and have more cognitive flexibility as a person. Take thinking time and be good to yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for the insights. Thank you for making use of the acronym SCHEME, and also telling us that we need to think of how we look. And I'm wondering how that will play out with the mask, but we shall try. I believe now we have come to the time of question and answers, and we have already several. As I think, Christine, you can assist me from the studio with the ones where the hands will be raised, but I'll read out the ones which are there. Then we will see what our panelists have to say. Some of them have been thrown at FIDA. Shouldn't we consider as a society having a group endowment policy, retirement schemes, and such like initiatives? That is to FIDA and to us collectively. Then I wish to know from Anna Konuche, what happens to the training courses that we had paid for but could not be attended due to COVID, and there has been no communication on the way forward? It has been posted there, therefore I have read it. Then Wamboi is saying the situation we are going through is new, but certainly not new normal. Should we perhaps refer to it as new different rather than new normal? Wow, Wambui has thrown a spanner to our research problem, but we can think about that. How do I or we start over as a young advocate who has lost their job due to this pandemic and looking to get clients to start up a firm? Should I open my startup now? Dorcas, you could assist us in that one. And then as a lawyer who is spiritually minded, is it wise to submit your finances to your husband and looking to get clients to start up a firm? Should I open my startup now? Sarah, you've just talked about, you've mentioned your husband twice. Maybe you can tell us about that one of the husband. As a lawyer who is spiritually minded, is it wise to submit your finances to your husband, given that the good book advises us to do so? Yeah, that was the question. How do I start over as a young advocate who has lost their job? That is the one I said, Dorcas assists us, while Sarah assists us with the one of the good book. And Christine can give her thoughts about the endowment policy. No, Dorcas, give us your thoughts also about the endowment policy and the group and retirement schemes. For now, I believe you are noting down those questions. I don't know whether from the other side you can see any hand up, but maybe we can have those two questions answered as we get other questions. Let's start with you, Dorcas. Dorcas, unmute yourself.
Yes, sorry, I hadn't done that. Endowment policy and group retirement scheme, that is something that should have been with the Law Society or the ABA like yesterday. Lawyers. Yeah. You can hear me?
Yes, proceed.
Yes, it is important that that is done. At the ABA, we have come up with an retirement scheme that was to be launched before COVID happened. And it will be launched very soon, hopefully. So that will come in to assist many of us. Even those of us at our age, maybe we may want to also move our money from wherever it is that we have it and then bring it to that particular retirement scheme. And endowment policy is very, very important. I can assure most of last year I was not well, and part of this year, so I was not in the office much. And one of the things that has kept me afloat is an endowment policy that I had that was maturing as we got into COVID. I don't know how I would have survived if that was not in place. So having an endowment policy is very, 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 very good. I'd taken this up in 1992. So it was coming to maturity the other day, and it has got me out on what would otherwise would have been a very, very bad ride. Can I open a startup now? I would say, why not? If you have this, I'm one of those people who believe in gut feelings. If you have the gut feeling that you can do it, go ahead and do it. But do you have the money? Ask yourself, do you have enough finances so that you don't start and then you get depressed along the way when things are not working? Do you have enough money to set up that startup? At this particular moment for the young ones, you can actually run, you don't need an office the way I'm sitting in my office now. You can actually run your office from home. And many of you have been doing that even before COVID. As you're doing your things, you connect with whoever it is that you connect with. If you're doing referrals from a senior lawyer or any of your friends who have firms and they have extra work, they don't want to go outside of town, and you can do that, you do that. But then you have to sit down and ask yourself, what sort of work am I looking at? Am I looking at court work, or what else am I looking at? And where can I get this work? For me, when I opened my firm, I remember the first thing I did was to look at who did I know at that time that would give me work. I started with the people I'd worked with. I had worked with a group of companies, and they were my first clients that gave me my first the files that I opened in my office at first. Then I had a mentor, who is still my mentor up to now. He sent a few files my way, and that also assisted. I also looked at relatives and got them to know that, oh, you know, if you're buying or you're selling property, hakuna hii mambo ya kufanya tu vitu kinyumba nyumba, come and talk to me because I can be able to do that. And that was my introduction into conveyancing from work that came in from relatives. And then from the church I was going to at that particular time, I talked to people in church. I have opened an office. I remember I prepared like 3,000 cards. And I gave out those cards. CTAM, I gave out those cards to almost everyone I would meet. Anybody I met, I gave the card to. I gave the card to. Some called me up, and they're still clients up to now. Some we've lost contact over the years, but that's what you do when you're looking for work. So do not hesitate that what can I do at this particular, I can't open at this particular time. There is never the correct time to open. COVID may be on until next year. So if you want to open now, please do. And for us who have been in the business for some time, if somebody is looking for work and you can be able to share the little that you have, please share. And if you're members of such groups as, it may look like just a running group, harriers and all those people that meet over weekends, they go hiking, they do what, you get clients through the connections you meet there. Ensure that when you're going out there, you are selling yourself as a lawyer. So that weekend you go climbing the Mount Longonot or Ngong Hills. By the time you come back, you are coming back with work. I have done that so many times when the time I would go for hikes. If I go for hikes, I would come back with one client.
Thank you, Dorcas.
Thank you. I'll go on. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I wanted us to hear from Sarah as well on that question of the husband. And so that we hear everything without much interruption from me, I'll just bring to judges' attention a question that has been thrown to you so that after Sarah, you can take it up. The question, Judge, is there are two. One is share more. That's the chair of FIDA who wanted you to share more on how one can multitask better when the day is very short, especially with this curfew, those working from the office, not those working from home. And someone else is asking you, particularly Judge, how do you manage to work from home 8 to 5 with the distractions from children? How do you, as a young lawyer, manage to operate in a one-room bedroom house with kids without internet? Because that is the lived reality of a good number of us. And Judge, that question has been thrown to you. And after Judge, then we will hear Anna Konuche on the questions that I read out to you with regard to the situation at the Kenya School of Law, of course, to the extent that you are able to answer, because we understand some of these issues are not out of your hands. But as you answer those questions, you can also answer a concern that someone has noticed, that why are lawyers, female lawyers, firms small and they don't grow, mine included, by the way. You can tell us something about that. And there is also the issue of the need to include training in entrepreneurship in our legal training. And Anastasia is commenting, that one is not a question, but a comment, that 1 meal a day saves money and also causes weight loss. We can think about that. Then the other question is, I wish we would discuss how advocates can make money in the pandemic by solving legal issues. Anna Konuche, can you say something about that? Because, okay, we do not, when we are talking about side hustles, we can also look internally that COVID has brought about issues, both cases and also human rights issues. Are we able to make money from that? And yes, let's hear on those issues. Briefly.
Okay, thank you very much for raising the question about submission. Should we submit to our husbands, especially if you're spiritually aligned, your financials? I think spiritual or not, it's very important to be honest in an honest relationship where you can actually share what the finances are. For us, it goes, and maybe again, as I said, we had our kids in London and everything, but we share even a level of those financials with the kids. My firstborn is 27, my second one is 21. And so we sit down and we found that the more we started sharing that and giving them some transparency, a level of transparency into financials, they actually helped us and helped speak to the other kids when they wanted this and that, and during this pandemic as well. And so it's important to submit. Submission for me is an action of accepting or yielding to a superior force. And so the authority of my husband still stands from a spiritual level. My openness with him on all things financial is also still stands and cannot be questioned. However, he can also see who is more skilled at the finances. I'm a big believer that let skilled people do the skilled things. Maybe your husband is a chef and he can cook better or a better soup or whatever. So why would you go and do that as well? So I think in the home, as you start relating with each other, we women have been gifted with those skills to be able to just talk to your partner and realize who has the skills for what, whether the skills for the children, for the financials, for the bookkeeping, for the cooking and everything like that. So maybe have that conversation, submit by all costs, but make sure it is in the hands of somebody who is skilled with it. I also just wanted to touch on the issue of startups because I teach startups at KCB. For those of you who have
1 minute.
Yes, KCB accounts, please join the webinars. There's a lot of the questions that are asked here can be answered there. The one thing you have to remember with a startup is you need to have clients, which we've been told already how to get those clients. You need good processes. I find many people, especially even in your profession space, the processes needed for a business are very critical. So get good processes, and finally, make sure you collect. Otherwise, you'll do a lot of work. If there's no collections, you will die. That is how many female-owned businesses are dying, because we do work, but we don't collect. We're not tough enough to have a tough team that collects money back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Judge.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Deche. Now, for me, I think I had also answered some. I had tried to ensure that I could share some of my concerns or answers. I had answered online, but it's okay, then I can repeat. One of the ones which I thought about is multitasking, and when you have a short day, how are you able to get all this information or all the work done? What I had talked about is about time management. You need to do a lot of time management because the more you delegate, the more you're likely to have your tasks done. Because if you decide that you're going to do everything, and there's some things that you're not able to do to completion, better not to have many tasks which are incomplete, but have a few tasks which are complete, and that way you're going to be able to achieve quite a bit on, even when the days are only 24 hours, because we don't expect them to be more than that. I had also said that it's important to wake up early, because the longer you sleep during the day, because especially like during this time of the pandemic, some people are waking up at 11 o'clock. If you don't have any court session, you'll wake up at 11 o'clock. So that way, definitely, you will have a shorter day. There was also a question on mediation, Commissioner Deche, and maybe I can mention, is that the physical mediations are not ongoing unless the parties themselves have decided to have the mediations together with their mediators. Otherwise, most of the people are proceeding online. Now, on the issue of exercise, because somebody had asked about that, I said it's better to choose the best time to exercise. If you're a morning person, afternoon person, or evening person. Once you decide where you are, because if you are an evening person and you have to wake up at 5, then you'll hate the exercise. If you're a evening person and if you're a morning person and you're doing things in the evening, then you feel very lethargic. So better to know where exactly you are. So there's one of the questions that you'd asked me, Commissioner Deche, and I was not able to touch on it. I thought I should leave it for plenary, was the issue of what kind of advocates would we want to see appearing before us. And we said these are advocates who have accepted change. They are not resisting change. We found that when the courts closed, most of them were resisting going online. But it's a good thing, and if all these things were not happening, then even this kind of Zoom meetings will not be going on. So it's important to accept change, to be digitized, and to accept technology to harness access to justice. Thank you very much.
Judge, it would be unfair for me to let you go before you answer that question of the person who had directed a question to you. They're in one room with children and they are supposed to proceed and they have no internet and it was directed to you.
All right. Now, for me, what I would think is that like in this day and age, we have to be innovative. So what would I be saying is that even if I'm in a room, nothing stops me also, and I do not have any internet, can I also go to a cyber cafe, for example, or anywhere else? You see, most of us as judges, there are people who are having challenges also with internet connections in their houses. So the best thing is to go to a place which has got reliable internet. Or some, yeah, because you can stay in the house, yes, or can you go outside the house? And this is what I was saying, that you need to train your family to understand that you're still working. So between that 8 to 3 o'clock or 8 to 5, they need to understand that that space requires to be given to you so that you're able to work. That's the only thing that I can say. Or go to a friend, or I know even many times when you have power blackouts, there are neighbors who are very good. They say, no, I have a solar backup. If you want to continue working online, perhaps maybe come to my house. Let's share these problems.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sure the person has heard. And before I hand back to Christine to deal with there are several hands which are up. I will ask Anna Konuche to respond to the questions asked. And then Christine, you will take over from there and deal with the raised hand. Thank you. Proceed, Anna.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. For the questions that have been raised, I think the first one, anything that is school-related or KSL-related or admission-related, I think they can direct them to me privately, because I think this is not the forum. The person who said he was paid for courses, please kindly write to the school an email. We always respond. For those who are waiting admission, I think that's a question for the judiciary, but get in touch with me privately, then we can discuss. I will always answer your calls. The other question, which Commissioner directed to me, why are female law firms generally small and they never grow? I've never been into practice so much. I practiced just a little bit, and a bit, not too much. I may not be the right person to answer this question, but I could throw a few ideas. I think men generally tend to be competitive. They want to get ahead at whatever cost. And for women, we sometimes tend to get a bit comfortable, get into a comfort zone and settle. As long as the bills are settled, you have your vehicle, you're moving about, you feel maybe a bit settled. So maybe inculcate that concept of competitiveness in us, so that we also desire to get ahead and to grow. And yeah, that is what I would say. And keep an open mind. Be willing to explore areas that not everybody is able to explore. And I'll give the example of Linda Bonyo, who is currently hosting us at Lawyers Hub. Honestly, it's an area that nobody thought about. So we also need to think outside the box and explore opportunities that nobody is currently thinking about them, and identify, of course, that opportunities. There's a question on whether we need to include entrepreneurship in training in law. I believe so. I meet most of my students and they tell me that you train us on how to bill, like, to draw a bill of costs, or you're even trained in pupillage, but nobody ever trains you how to go and ask for that check from the client. You've done your bill, but you're not able to get your money. So I believe, yes, entrepreneurship, setting up businesses, it's an important aspect. At the Kenya School of Law, it's possibly a topic we could include in something like legal practice management. I think it would easily fit in there. Opportunities for making money during the pandemic. Again, Commissioner, I've tried to think, just even basic opportunities. Most of us live in communities, estates, and most of the ways now we communicate is WhatsApp group. So you'll find an estate has a WhatsApp group. If you're active in that WhatsApp group and people identify you as a lawyer, there are so many people there who need commissioning. Somebody will ask who can sign for me a document, who can do for me an affidavit. Those are ways of making small money, and they go a long way. And out of that, you can also get clients. So be active in your communities. Sell yourself wherever you are. As a senior doctor said, don't leave a group without getting a client out of it. Then, of course, technology, which she talked about early. Be vocal, be known, make sense in what you say so that people can look for you. Then there was another...
you have one more.
Yes, which you asked me whether there are gaps in the legal training, which we probably need to think about in this era of the pandemic. I believe, yes, we have never really invested in e-learning. Most universities, most schools, maybe a few private schools here and there. So this is an area where we need to move into, probably take the resources that would ordinarily go into brick and mortar and put them into technology so that we can now move into this new norm of everything going technology or e-learning or virtual. So that's one way. And the other one, of course, is what I talked about, training on entrepreneurship. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you so much. I think our time is so much spent, but to me, I see the beginning of a conversation that we have to go deep because we've hardly managed to scratch the surface today, but we are seeing that a lot is, it's overdue. This conversation is overdue, but I want to thank the panelists. I want to thank the participants. And for now, allow me to hand over back to Christine Kungu to wrap up and take us up from there. But from Mombasa, it is Kwaherini.
Thank you very much. Christine. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Now it's time for us to take live questions from the participants. I can already see 2 hands up. The first one was Judge. Judge, are you there?
No, Judge. It's Jacqueline Manani.
All right, we can have Madam Jacqueline Manani. Jacqueline Manani.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, just thank you so much, Judge Kamau. Thank you, Anna and Sarah and Dorcas. Those are very insightful views you've given. Particularly, Sarah, I'm quite happy to have participated in this. You've given us some very useful tips. I just want to make a comment about why female law firms are small and don't grow. I'm an in-house counsel, and I'd like to just give my experience on dealing with law firms on panels. Many times when we advertise, I have worked as an in-house counsel in different places. And many times from my experience in the organizations that I've worked, when you advertise for advocates to be on the panel, rarely do female lawyers apply. Very rarely. In fact, I can't remember any law firm that has applied to a panel where I've, in an organization where I've worked. And secondly, what I've noticed, male law firms or law firms headed by men, once they are put on the panel, they will come around to your office to put a face to the name. They'll introduce themselves, they'll seek an appointment, they will come, they will tell you about themselves, they will really market themselves. And it doesn't matter whether the law firm is a really well-known law firm or just a small law firm that nobody knows. Male lawyers are very proactive. They come around, they will send you opinions on unsolicited matters, and they will keep checking whether you have any work, etc. I think, like Anna said, female lawyers are a bit laid back, and we tend to get very comfortable. And many times when I see those, lawyers who send in their tenders for work, I always wonder whether female lawyers do not see the adverts or they see it and think they're not good enough. Let me assure you that we ladies are very good. And in most organizations, people tend to trust female lawyers more than they do men lawyers. So I encourage you, when you see adverts for tenders, please put in your papers. And you'll find that in most organizations, the heads of legal are women. I myself, I head a legal department, and the tendency for us women to really be, look favorably at our female colleagues is quite high. I remember when as a new lawyer, when we used to vote, you remember we used to vote the senior lawyers in the meeting. And remember, we used to send our votes by post. And when I was a young lawyer, because I did not know many of these lawyers, the first thing I would do when I would go on that ballot is I would tick first the people I know. Then after that, all the remaining slots, I would tick the women, whether I know them or I don't. You know, it's that serious in terms of, can we give an opportunity to women? So I urge ladies, apply for these opportunities on panels so that you can also be able to shine, stand out there. And also let's merge. Many times you see mergers are by male law firms. Women lawyers also need to merge their law firms, make it bigger so that, you know, you stand out, you can be able to have better opportunities. When it's a bigger law firm, it looks more serious. When you have more partners, you look a bit more serious. When you send your CVs, you know, they're shining different partners in the law firm. So I think let's be more assertive, let's participate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Manani. We have a question by Christine Boke. Christine, please take 1 minute. We have only 1 minute for you. Christine?
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, the panel as well, most of whom I am lucky enough to know very well. I think just continuing with that conversation, and for me, as a lady just coming at a point where I think my career is now starting to really peak. And the question is, can women have it all? The judge started off very well by saying, you know, the challenges, the unique challenge that will face a female advocate vis-a-vis a male advocate, especially when family is concerned. And it paints a near bleak picture. Can a woman, a female advocate, you know, do it all? Or must it come down to a question of maybe career versus family? Or can they both thrive? Or is one likely to suffer? Thank you.
Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Christine. I think that's all we can take from the members. Now we come to the end. Ladies, I've seen some gems among the participants. Thank you very much. We now come to the end of this webinar. I would like to make a bit of closing remarks. All right, I'm reminded that we've not answered Christine Boke's question. I will hand over to Anna Konute just to give us feedback.
Let Commissioner do it. Commissioner.
I think I could also answer that question because I think it was an issue that she referred to me and regarding the presentation that I've done. Now, just to say, a female advocate can do it all. There is nothing about career versus family. It is all an issue of finding the balance. It's just like even when for you to become a good advocate, for you to become a good banker, it is just getting a work-life balance. If you're able to get that work-life balance, then you're good to go. So it doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice your career to be a family woman or to be in the family and not be a career person. So my view is finding the balance as the way the topic was actually set out as my presentation, finding the balance without adding the issue of the within the pandemic, but finding a balance in your life. You'll be able to get it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judge. Thank you so much. We are now coming to the end of our webinar. I think we are good. We've spent our time in a very, very sober manner. The discussions have been very insightful. Now, on behalf of the board of FIDA Kenya, I want to thank all participants, starting with the FIDA Kenya members who've been able to attend this session from 2 p.m. I've seen our senior members, I've seen our very young members, majority from the Kenya School of Law. I've seen some colleagues who are not members, but we hope that they're going to join us. So I want to thank all the participants. Thank you so much for attending. Secondly, I want to thank the Secretariat, led by our ED, Annie Reri. Thank you very much. And Daisy Olo, who's here with us for coordinating this event. We are so grateful to you. We also want to thank all the speakers that have been able to give us a very insightful information in the last 2.5 hours. We really thank you. And of course, to our moderator, Commissioner Dr. Mercy Deche. We thank you for taking time all the way from Mombasa to moderate this particular first webinar for FIDA Kenya members. Last but not least, we want to thank our very own Linda Bonyo. Through the Lawyers Hub, who's hosted us this afternoon. Linda, wherever you are, thank you very much for supporting us and enabling this particular event to happen. So on behalf of myself, we want to thank you very much for attending, and we ask you to keep safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christine.